Eat like a king who's on a budget. 3 tasty options, fries, drink, and nuggets. All for $5. Wait, that can't be right. Just confirm that that's the real price. BK, have it your way.
Welcome into LeatherBrainz, your host here, SlapDawg, and I am here today to tell all of you brainiacs to go to Burger King right now and get yourself the holiday special. It is spooky time, so Burger King has, you're not drinking Burger King over there, but I do love the branding, Alan. Go check out Burger King. They are a sponsor of ours. They keep the lights on. And go get yourself a Whopper with cheese. It's Spooktober. It's spooktacular. Guys, no free ads. Come on. We're trying to keep this PG here. And we got to give a shout out to Burger King as our sponsor. So go get yourself some spooktacular, spooky Whoppers at Burger King today. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, SlapDawg. As I mentioned, I'm joined here today by Alan Casanova Castro and Scotty Del Rey, and we are here today to talk about Week 6 in the NFL. It has happened for the most part. We're going to give our Monday night preview here at the end of the show, but there's a lot to dissect, a lot to discuss. So, gentlemen, let's just jump into it, and let's start with Thursday Night Football, because this was incredible. This was awesome. This was a Giants beating the Eagles. I know you guys call me Chiefs hater, but I will say this. I actually do hate the Eagles. I love, and it's not the Eagles that I hate. It's the fan base that I hate. I don't actually hate Sirianni. I know you guys are pretty off on Sirianni. I don't have a problem with Sirianni, but I love watching Eagles fans squirm and be angry, and they're probably one of the most insufferable fan bases in all of the NFL. So I love watching the Eagles lose, and they lost to the Giants, which was just the icing on the cake. So Giants win this game 34-17. I've got a lot to talk about, but I will just open the floor to you guys here. What did you guys think about this game?
No, I want you to talk. I want you to talk about Dart. I want to hear your.
That's what I want to talk about.
I just want to hear what you think about Dart right now. Like, what's your projection for his career? Hall of Fame or bust? Like, what are we looking at?
Maybe somewhere in between. So I will preface by stating, because I know you guys know this, I own Jackson Dart in a dynasty league, and it feels really good to own him. But I'm going to remove the bias here and just talk about Jackson Dart. It's really funny to see all of these people in the NFL media talk about Jackson Dart, and they're like, he's a Josh Allen light. And I'm like, mother effers, I was saying that back in preseason when he was drafted. I think this guy could be a Josh Allen light. And so for them to come in, it makes me feel validated. But I think, looking at this Giants team and Jackson Dart, I think you also have to talk about Cam Scatterbo. And for me, I look at this Giants team. There are a few things that I took away from this win, seeing, and I'm not a Giants fan, so I also got to state that. I think a couple things really showed themselves in this game. First and foremost, I think Brian Dable's job security is now secured for the rest of the season. I think this game alone really bought Brian Dable time. And in this game, Jackson Dart actually went to the medical tent, and you saw Brian Dable run over there, and now the NFLPA has to kind of do some investigation because of like him wanting to get him back on the field. But Brian Dable is not an idiot. He knew. Yeah, he knows.
He saw Russ throw one pass, and he's like, oh, fuck. Nope. Can't lose this one. What kind of shape is he in? Can we tape him upright? Like, what can we do? Because if that's not a signal for Russ to hang it up when you literally threw 2 passes and everybody started booing and your coach is sprinting to the medical tent, you're like, oh, shit. All right, well, that was fun.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I was going to say, too, is like, Russell Wilson went out there and the whole stadium just started booing. And it was so funny to see. And I'm just like, can you blame him? They don't want to see him come out there.
No, but could you, like any one of our favorite teams, like our up and coming quarterbacks out there, and then Russell Wilson comes in and throws like one airmailed and one dirt ball, and you're like, nope, I'm not doing this again. I was just bought in. I was having a great Thursday night. Like, what are we doing? What are we
Thank you for retweeting this, Sport Pigeon. And the G-Men are back. You are right. I love to see it. And
here's the thing. They get the Eagles again in like 2 weeks. So we'll see if the Eagles have any payback on their mind for what happened. But at least this one in a week-to-week basis, this is quite the win for that fan base. They needed it.
Well, and not only was it a win for them, but as far as the game is concerned, but really what I think this Giants team has – my biggest takeaway from all of this, the Giants finally have an identity. that they have not had in a very long time. And I think that's really, really important is you see it. You see Cam Scattaboo, you see him, they're having fun. Yeah, do they sniff crowns in the locker room? Probably. They're freaking crazy. Cam Scattaboo looks, this is effed up, but I'm going to say it. Cam Scattaboo looks like his dad beat him as a child. Like, that's just what he looks like.
Oh my God.
I was going to say, it looks like he looks like he never could pass a concussion test. Like, he looks like, if you asked him basic questions, he'd be like, no idea. You're like, well, I'm not sure if he should play or if he's okay.
I think Cam Scattaboo looks like, you guys remember the movie Ice Age? You know Sid the Sloth?
Yeah.
If Sid the Sloth and the little caveman baby like grew up together and then had their own baby, it would be Cam Scattaboo. That's it.
What a pull.
That is a pull. I think Cam Scattaboo would be an ice road trucker if he wasn't in the NFL. Is just like what he looks like to me.
He's
but
electric.
God, he's fun to watch. And him and Jackson Dart have a rapport, and they're having fun. Now, is it going to translate every single week to a win? We'll find out. But the things that I saw from Jackson Dart from a play, like, he looked comfortable. He was going through his progressions. He was making his reads. He was running the ball. There was one play where he ran the ball and he looked like Mario in Super Smash Brothers because he just like did this and just jumped right at him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you got to protect yourself
Head
a little
first.
bit. Yeah,
that's the one thing that I noticed. It was like, I love that he plays like with reckless abandon, but at some point. And it did, like, he had to go out, like he got hurt.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen in the NFL if you keep taking hits like that, and it's hard to coach that out of somebody because it is kind of like built into their DNA. But that's what I thought of. I think the other thing for Dart that impressed me was like they had none of their wide receiver weapons. Like Neighbors is obviously out. They had a bunch of injuries, and they were still making it happen against the defending champions. And I'm like, if I'm an Eagles fan, I think the mind F that Eagles fans are going through are, how did we blow out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? And now this next season we're coming and we can't beat anybody. Like, we're struggling to beat anybody. We can't beat
a rookie quarterback.
And that's where it's like in the offseason, I know it was like, hey, yeah, that's one season. You put a bow on it, you close it, you put it off to the side, and now you have to open up a whole new box and see what you're getting. And I think they're struggling to figure out what they're getting. You see them being frustrated, but I don't know if this game was like, I want to say this game was more about Dart and Scatabo just because of they look like they were having fun, but the Eagles looked the very opposite of that. Nobody looked like they were having fun. Nobody looked like they were having a good time. Nobody looked like they had any answers. It was just kind of like, all right, why is this not working? We're doing the tush push. We're doing the same things we did last year. Why is this not coming together? And I don't know if anybody in that coaching.
I have an answer for it that I think is the reason. And I think it's Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator. And I said this last week, and the Eagles, they look like something's wrong, but the talent is there. We know the talent is there. We've seen the talent over the years. It's there, but something's not clicking. I think it's Kevin Patullo. I think that offense is not running well, and I think from the scheming standpoint, it's a real problem. You have Saquon Barkley, the reigning MVP from last. Well, he wasn't MVP, but he was an MVP candidate last season.
Should have been the MVP,
and he was not. But that goes to show, like, where's the utilization of Saquon Barkley? You have weapons to throw the ball, and where's AJ Brown? Dallas Goedert was your leading receiver, and kind of has been the last few weeks, and it's really mind-boggling, and it's problematic. And if I was an Eagles fan, thank God I'm not, I would be. Eagles fans are the first fan base to get rid of someone and move on. The fact that I haven't seen as much chatter about Kevin Patullo and getting him out of that organization, I don't understand it, because I think he is the person to blame. If there's any blame to go around as far as why this team is failing, I think he carries a large portion of that.
Yeah, I think it. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Scotty.
I want to make Eagles fans feel a little bit better, because everything that you're saying is correct, that there is a lot to be concerned about with this Eagles team and how they look. I don't think anyone was beating this Giants team this last week. I think this Giants team would have beaten literally every team in the NFL, and you can just tell by the way that they stepped on the field. I don't think it's sustainable to do this every single week for this team that just doesn't have a huge amount of talent, but certainly with Jackson Dart and Scattaboo, like, these guys, when they want to turn it on, they can, and they can now have proven that they can compete with any team in the league. So I don't want, this is a divisional game, this is a rivalry, lots can happen. I don't think Eagles fans should be too upset about it, but certainly this offense has got to change. And the tough part is that the one game where they seem to make a big place a big emphasis on making the offense look a little bit more explosive. They lost that game. So it's just like they don't know what to do. This game they ran the tush push 4 times in a row, which I was always kind of pro tush push, like, hey, don't complain about it. If you can't stop it, you can't stop it. But if they're going to run it 4 times in a row, I'm going to be against it for forever. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, all the talking head shows were pretty much diagnosing this, is that the Eagles offense is very predictable. They're running a lot out of the shotgun. You can see the kind of plays that they're going to be running in, or when they're going to be giving the ball to Saquon, or when they're going to be looking to throw it deep. And it's like, that's a problem. Now you have a whole years of tape on this offense with Saquon. I think their offensive line is banged up, which also, I mean, that's the thing that makes this thing run. And I know everybody's like hemming and hawing about Jalen Hurts and is he top 5? Is he top 10? I mean, it doesn't really matter if your line, you can't trust your line. It looked like the Giants' edge we were having a heyday too. And so there's some concerning parts all the way around. The nice thing is also for the Eagles, even though this offense did nothing in the fourth quarter, is that the rest of the NFL is also, there isn't like another team where you're like, oh my God, especially in the NFC, where they're like, okay, well, now they're way out of it. Now they can't even get first. They can't even get the bye. Like everything is still in play. They have to figure it out. And I think that's why you can't push the total panic button, but I would definitely be concerned about the offensive coordinator at this point. I agree, but the full on panic, I don't know, needs to happen right away.
But this problem, it wasn't in just this game. This game really showcased it, but this has been a problem for them throughout the first 6 weeks. And I said in week 3, I was like, this Eagles team is not fun to watch. Like, it's boring. And they were winning games at that point. So we're not sitting here saying something's wrong, but it looked like something could potentially be wrong. And now we're in week 6. We're finishing week 6. We're seeing that. And the question now is, are they going to adjust? And because I agree with you, this is not like the Eagles are still in, and the Eagles are still a competing team. The Eagles are still an upper echelon team. But there's showing very obvious holes in this system, in their ability to get things done, that if they don't correct and they don't start putting an emphasis on, we're going to be sitting here saying, what happened to this Eagles team? And that's my fear as somebody who knows what the talent is on this roster, of what is going to come if you don't fix it.
Here's the one counterpoint I will say to that is last year they started the same way. Last year their offense sputtered. The first 4 games they lost to the Falcons and the Bucks, and they scored 16 and 20 points respectively in those games. And they weren't doing really anything. And the heat was turned up. Why is this not working? Why is this not working? The fact that they've done it and they've turned it around and shown what they could do, that's why I'm saying just hang on a second. I think after this little spell, if it continues to go this route, like the next couple weeks, I think you're right. I think you could have predicted it early, like if they need to get rid of them, if you're ahead of the curve, like if you're gambling or if you're picking stocks, you might be in the right bucket. But I would say for them as a team, they're probably just waiting to see like, okay, this happened last year. We figured it out and won a Super Bowl. Can we figure it out and get competitive again? And if they don't ever actually right this ship, you're probably right.
Well, and I think that's a good point too, because if you them losing to the Giants may actually be a blessing for them, because then are they sitting there with a little bit of fire under their ass saying, we got to get this stuff figured out? Because when they're winning games, maybe that precedence or that sense of urgency is not as prevalent. So maybe this is a blessing, and maybe they will get it figured out. I believe in the talent that is that, but I haven't, Kevin Patullo, this is his first time as the Eagles offensive coordinator, because it was Kellen Moore last year. So that just adds that wrinkle of right. mysteriousness of, can they figure it out? Now, if it was Kellen Moore again, I don't really believe in Kellen Moore. That's just me personally. But if it was Kellen Moore again this season, then I think I would have a little bit more stock in saying, yeah, I think they're going to figure it out because they did last year. And so there's some hesitancy there. But as far as the Giants, going back to them just very quickly to put a bow on this, I'm excited for what the Giants could be. I'm glad that they won this game. I think it bought Brian Daboll the rest of the season and really it showcased some identity, which this team has lacked for the last few years.
And
so
I think maybe we haven't heard from Chet Hanks yet, but I think this might be White Boy Fall. Now that the Giants, now that Cam Scatterby and Jackson Dart, it could be White Boy Fall, and they're going to take back football.
I'm here for it. So, though. They're entertaining. And
They are
that's
entertaining.
God.
They're having a lot of fun. There's something to be said about having fun. We saw it with Jaden Daniels last year, where he's just out there having a good time. He just looks like he knows he's playing a game for a living, and that makes the game so much more fun for the fans and so much more fun for the players. And when they can get rolling like this, they take it seriously, but they're out there and they know that they're just like having a good time and enjoying the experience. And there is just something great about that.
Could you imagine if Scatabo and Pacheco were in the same backfield, just like guys just ramming their heads into things? Like, all right, well, they got 2 years left on them. You gotta get rid of them.
I saw this video. So obviously, Cam Scatterbo is getting his flowers as he should. I'd seen this video that was when he was at Arizona State, and it was somebody in the media was with all the players coming out of the tunnel as they're going out to play their game, and they're with all these Arizona State players, and the camera's focused as they're coming out of the tunnel, and it pans over, and you just see one guy just away from the rest of the team, just smashing his head against the wall, and it was Cam Scatterbo. And you're like, what is going on here? And it's like, well, you know what? At the very least, he knows who he is, and he's not pretending to be anybody else.
That's my thing. If your baseline is always CTE and concussion, you basically can never be ruled out, because they're like, well, this is how he always is. Like, I mean,
he's fine.
He can't tell you how to spell his name anyway, so I don't know why we're asking him that.
Anytime you're concerned about him, you just show him that video. And you're like, he was fine back then.
No, like he did this. This is just how he operates. His baseline.
Okay, I do have one more question. Because Jackson Dart had his coming out game, so to speak. So let's play a quick game here. If you were starting a franchise today, would you rather have Jackson Dart or the quarterbacks that I name? So we'll start Jackson Dart or Trevor Lawrence.
Who's answering?
Both.
Okay, so I get now knowing what I know about Trevor Lawrence and the mystique that is Dart. Right?
Yes.
Oh, Dart.
Okay, you're taking Dart. How do you taking Dart or Lawrence?
Yeah, Dart. At the very least, he's more fun. He might crash and burn too, but he's more fun.
He very well could.
True.
Very well could. Okay, Jackson Dart or Bo Nix?
Bo Nix.
Okay, I'm going to take Dart. Jackson Dart or Sam Darnold?
If I'm starting a franchise, I'm taking Jackson
starting.
Dart.
Yeah, because he's younger.
Yeah.
But if it's like a one season thing, I'll take Darnold.
Me too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would too if it was one season. Jackson Dart or Cam Ward?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know enough about Ward.
I see him pretty similarly, where they're both kind of mysterious. I think they both have a ton of upside, but I still think Cam Ward. He's just the more complete option at this point.
I will say, and this is again is unfair sample size for Dart, because we're saying, hey, you just won on Thursday night against the Eagles. But
and he beat the Chargers.
I have seen Ward make throws that I'm like, okay, that is I don't know of how many people, but Dart made quite a throw to the back of the end zone that was it was in a fucking bucket. If he keeps doing that, then maybe Dart, but I'll probably take Ward.
Okay. We'll do Jackson Dart or Kyler Murray.
Jackson Dart.
We all know
he seems happy to be there. And I'll say, if Jackson Dart gets rid of the stupid fucking diamond necklace, I might even take him over more people.
It's the eye black thing. It's the eye black thing. He needs to lose that little God of War.
He's got the swagger.
The necklace I'm cool with. That's kind of dope. But
I'm good with both. He's got the swag.
You don't like necklaces?
I take the Colin Cowherd approach when it comes to quarterbacks, which I know that's one way to get everyone to hate everything you're about to say. But it's true.
Canceled.
Jalen Hurts is the perfect quarterback. As far as his persona
that's
goes.
A little big.
Jackson Dart is as far from that as you can get.
I could see you, Scotty, in the NFL, like trimming up your mouthpiece so that way your mustache hangs right over it, so you can see it very. I could see you doing something like that.
That would be pretty sick, honestly.
Okay, I think that's it. Unless there's any other quarterbacks that I was just kind of thinking of
good.
Okay, one more. Jackson Dart or Brock Purdy?
Purdy.
Yeah, I still think Purdy. The only reason I'm thinking is because obviously Brock Purdy has a much, much, much better roster.
Yeah, Dart is. I feel like Dart is still in this mystique backup quarterback role where you're like, I don't really know enough about him, so I like it.
It's only been 3 games.
But what I've seen, I really like.
He threw 3 interceptions in his second game. We're talking about him like he's the next coming of Christ. Like, we've seen him play well twice and play really bad once.
Okay. Blasphemer. We don't know if he is or isn't. Maybe Christ loves necklaces.
That's a good point. Okay, let me take that back. He might be the next coming of Jesus Christ, but I'm not going to assume that.
Correct.
At this point.
There you go. Okay.
That's respectable. All right. Well, let's move on here. London Bridges fall down. This game, it was the Broncos Jets. Broncos win this 13-11. I'm just going to say this. What a showcase that the NFL did by taking two teams and going and saying, hey, this is the NFL. Welcome to the NFL, London. Really wanted to put on a performance for you. Let's bring the Broncos and the Jets to London.
You're confused, though, because this is a country and a stadium that only watches soccer. Okay, you could put any NFL football in that stadium, and it's the best sporting event that's ever been played there. Guaranteed.
I will say, rugby is very electric. So if you've ever watched rugby,
I'd rather watch a high school soccer game than watch the Broncos Jets in a London stadium.
Crazy.
That game was horrible.
I am proud to say I watched 0.0 seconds of this game. I actually forgot this game was on, and somebody's like, "Oh, what a catch!" on Twitter. I'm like, "What the fuck?" Somebody like rewatching film, and I looked, and it was like, "Oh yeah, they've scored like 8 points total." Like I'm not watching that shit.
Yeah, this game was disgusting by both parties.
And the Broncos almost lost. The Jets threw negative yards. And the Broncos still almost lost. I'm very confused at everything that just happened. And
let's delve into it. I mean, Justin Fields, Scotty.
Yeah, what's up?
You
want to bail?
Yeah. You want to bail?
I'm going to prepare for this conversation.
I'm going to read you a stat line of Justin Fields in this last game. Right, he went 9 for 17 for a total of 45 yards.
Yeah.
His QBR rating was 9. If he kneeled the ball the entire game, his QBR rating would be higher.
I will say the Broncos defense is elite.
The Broncos defense is
so that's tough. Like, let's see them play the Ravens dead.
You're taking all my talking points. I'm trying to cope.
I'm sorry.
And you're taking all of them.
Okay, go ahead, Scotty.
Okay, so I guess backstory. I have been a supporter of Justin Fields in this particular system with the caveat that I didn't think he was going to be good or this team was going to be good. I said this was going to be his best season, which is a very low bar. So let's preface that.
Okay.
This game might be the worst game of football you've ever watched. That's true. And Justin Fields looked like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe what he looked like, but it wasn't football. I mean, it was embarrassing all the way through, which actually made it a very entertaining game. I enjoyed every second of this game because
they failed upwards.
Yeah, it seemed so laughably bad that I really, really enjoyed watching it. But again, okay, first point, Justin Fields. At least it's football here. So that's better than soccer.
If you have we're an NFL podcast and you're saying, well, at least it's football.
At least they were holding a football. There was a football there. So that's an upgrade from what this stadium normally sees. Second of all, tough defense. I mean, the Broncos defense is super good. And then third of all, we've seen Justin Fields play pretty well sometimes. So, it's not all bad. And therefore, I was right, I think.
I don't think so. And Aaron Glenn was actually asked about this after the game. He was asked, by a reporter in the post-game presser, is there any thought about maybe benching Justin Fields? And Aaron Glenn got mad at that. Like, he was like, don't ask that. He's like, what are we doing here? He's like, why are you even bringing this up? Which the reporter, I think, is totally fair to ask that question. Yeah. And Aaron Glenn got very upset and was the reporter. He's like, why are we doing it? And the reporter's like, well, I think it's a fair question. And he's like, we're not doing this.
Here's what happened. There's just miscommunication between Aaron Glenn and the reporter, because the reporter actually watched and paid attention to this game. And based on how we saw from the end of the first half, Aaron Glenn was not watching or paying attention to anything about this game at all. And that was the confusion. Yeah. Aaron Glenn's like, what are you talking about, man? We've got Justin Fields. And the reporter's like, oh, so you just had your eyes closed the entire game. That was the confusion, because Aaron Glenn, I wasn't convinced about him. Here's what I'll say. We know about the Shanahan coaching tree and all these geniuses that come off. This is the Dan Campbell coaching tree, which is if you put them in a situation where they got to make some tough decisions, they're going to fuck it up every step of the way. Like, yeah, he might motivate some guys, but holy shit, he does not know how to make any decisions at all. This second, that was obviously poking fun at Dan Campbell. This is really dude totally blew whatever. It's like he was afraid. I guess for those of you who didn't watch, here's what happened. Getting toward the end of the half, the Jets get the ball back.
This was bad.
The Jets get the ball back. There's I don't know a minute and a half left, and they're on their own 20-yard line. So they're like, okay, let's go try and score. But they're afraid to let Justin Fields throw the ball. So they run, and then they run, and then they run, and they get to fourth down. And then they go for it on fourth down rather than punting it away with 40 seconds left, because they were so afraid of the Broncos getting the ball. And then once they get the fourth down, then they just run, and then they run. And they literally scheduled an entire game plan to just prevent the Broncos from getting the ball, even though they knew they had no intentions of trying to score any points. It was crazy.
It was bad. It was terrible. And we're talking about the run game here. I want to talk about Breece Hall for just a moment, because Breece Hall, I think you guys can argue with me on this, but I still think Breece Hall is a very talented running back. I think the unfortunate reality is he's been with the Jets, and now their offensive line has been atrocious. Breece Hall's stat line was 22 touches for 59 yards and 0. If you're getting 22 touches, I'm expecting you to at least have a 100-yard game or very close to it. It's been really bad. And Aaron Glenn in the preseason said this backfield is going to be a 3-headed backfield. So made a lot of people very pessimistic on Breece Hall from a fantasy football perspective, made people nervous about what this is going to look like because it has been Breece Hall's backfield. Gentlemen, this was Breece Hall's backfield. If you go look at the touches, it was Justin Fields trying to run the ball and Breece Hall, and that was really about it. But he's on the last year of his contract, his rookie contract, and then he becomes a free agent. Is there a lot of validity and ground to say that Breece Hall is a high trade candidate for a team that is looking for a running back and looking to compete by the trade deadline this season? Is that fair to say, do you guys think?
Yeah. If you're looking at this game in a vacuum, I mean, again, it's the Broncos. The Broncos have one of the best defenses in the league. They obviously were not scared about Fields throwing the ball. So if you basically make an NFL team one-dimensional, I mean, he's just running into a concrete wall the whole game. Like, what is he supposed to do? I think that's what makes it tough. So this game withstanding, I think he could be really good on a lot of teams. I think a lot of competing teams would be looking for him. Mainly, I know the Chiefs have been linked to him many times. I think there was rumors they're trying to put some packages together. So who knows? I think he is definitely one of the better backs in the league, and especially for teams looking for him. So I think, I think he's still wildly valuable to the rest of the NFL.
Okay. And I didn't know if our sentiment had changed because he's kind of fallen off as far as like that high level performing guy. I just don't know if it's his fault. And so I was curious to know if you guys had any differing opinions on that. So
no, probably Aaron Glenn trying to get himself fired is the person at fault.
Do you think that's on the table?
I mean, he's on contract through 2029. If you want to get out of there, I mean, that was a great game to show that.
I don't think Aaron Glenn's on the hot seat. No. I don't think Aaron Glenn is on the hot seat.
Here's the thing, though. I agree performance-wise, because it's his first year. We know where this team was just a year ago before he got here. Like, you can't expect him to work miracles. But watching the mismanagement of this game from a coaching perspective was really telling. I mean, it just, and then watching him freak out with the reporter, like it just feels like this is not a person who understands. Like, there are some coaches that come in and the team kind of stuff. Even we talked about Dan Campbell. Even Dan Campbell, when he came in, he was all about exuding confidence, even when the Lions really, really sucked, and he built up the organization. You do not get that impression at all from Aaron Glenn right now. And it almost feels like that coaching performance was so bad that if he's not on the hot seat, the people in the organization definitely are considering putting him on the hot seat. Like, they're definitely thinking about it right now.
I think it's too early. It's too young. Like, and that's not to say that he doesn't have his problems, because I think he does. But what's the alternative? I mean, this Jets organization has just continued to just go through this rigmarole of, all right, we're going to draft a quarterback. We're going to get a quarterback. We're going to get a head coach. We are going to get a new head coach. We're going to get a different starting quarterback. Like, it's just been the same thing over and over again. There's no stability. And I'm not saying Aaron Glenn is the future of this organization, but we're 6 weeks in. We all had, Scotty aside, we had the Jets being pretty poor and Justin Fields not performing at a high level. And even you, Scotty, had said that.
Yeah.
That was the outlook of this team going into the season, and nothing has changed. It's just kind of validated what we had all thought.
If you put a gun to somebody's head in the Jets organization in the front room and say, is he going to be the future, yes or no? Aaron Glenn. Everybody probably be like, oh, God, no, probably not. So definitely, it's probably more financial than anything, but it's also not like he's trying to groom a young quarterback or trying to put like this.
Yeah.
At what point, what do you have to lose? You've already done this so many times. It's not, might as well just let him, if I'm the front office, let him steer this team into another top draft pick, cut him loose, say, sorry, it didn't work this year. Bring in another coach, bring in somebody with like that actually knows what the hell they're doing or has experience doing this. I think the Jets are one of the teams that need to get off of the let's hire the up and coming coordinator train. I think they need to get off that train because they just keep doing it, they keep trying to like stitch things together. It's just not going to work that way.
Well, and I don't think Robert Salah was ever the problem.
No, I don't think so either. But we also have to remember when it comes to Aaron Glenn, this is a defensive coach, and this defense does not look good. Like we're talking about Justin Fields and we're talking about the offense, but this is a defense that has some pretty damn good players and arguably one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the league. And it took them 4 or 5 weeks to get one single takeaway. Like, this defense is really, really a problem, and that's the one area where you would expect to see some improvement from last year for this Jets organization. There's just too many red flags to ignore.
Yeah, there is. Let's move on. Seahawks beat the Jaguars 20-12. This game, I didn't like either of these teams coming into the season, and I'll eat some crow here. The Seahawks look pretty good, and I did not think that was going to be the case at all this season. I thought the Seahawks were going to be really bad, and the reason that I thought they were going to be bad is because of Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold has played really well this season so far. In this game alone, he went 16 for 27, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns. His QBR was almost 72. Sam Darnold has looked like a competent quarterback, which is not what I expected. On the other side of the ball, Trevor Lawrence looks exactly like what I think he is. Terrible. He went 27 for 42, 258 yards, and 2 touchdowns. His QBR was 46.5. I'm not surprised the Jags lost. I had the Seahawks winning this game, but I really the question that comes to mind now for me is both these teams are 4-2, and that's really what I want to hone in on here is looking at all the 4-2 teams at this juncture. Which one of these stands out as the biggest fraudulent 4-2 team? And I'm going to read off the list here. We've got Jaguars, Patriots, Chargers, Broncos, Eagles, 49ers, and Seahawks, all of which are 4-2. Which one stands out as frauds, if any stand out as frauds to you, gentlemen?
I'll give you one that I think they're on borrowed time is obviously the 49ers. They're just dying, and it's not their fault necessarily.
Their players are legitimately dying.
They're just dying. Like Warner, Fred Warner's out now for the year, and Bosa's out for the year, and they have even their wide receivers that are playing are like, hey, I have 5 broken ribs and my knees hurt, and it's like, oh God, I'm actually shocked that they are where they are. So I'm hesitant to say they're flat out frauds because they've been playing their asses off. If I were to pick one and say no shot that's who they're going to be moving forward, it's probably the Patriots. I don't trust them to continue at that pace to be one of the top NFL teams. And that's no knock on the Patriots or what they're building, because I think they're on a great trajectory. And I think May is really good. I just think if you think of some of the top teams, I think the Patriots are probably the quickest to fall off, and then probably the Jags, and then maybe the Broncos. But that's probably the Patriots would be the one. So I kind of remove the 49ers from the discussion just because
of injuries.
They're just dead.
Yeah. Scotty, you agree with that? You have any other opinions?
I think the Chargers are the first one that comes to mind, and it's not for any of that. I know that they've had some injuries also, and they've sort of dipped down from where they started in the season, but I don't feel like they're passing the eye test for me as much. It just feels like they're kind of sluggish a little bit. And, we saw them come out in week 1 against the Chiefs in Brazil, and we're like, holy shit, Justin Herbert got Madison Beer, and now he knows how to play football, and this is crazy. And I just don't think they haven't looked like that ever since then. And so I feel like a lot of people just still see the Chargers as one of the best, maybe a front runner for the AFC West. And I just don't think they're there. I still think I would.
You think the Chargers, the Broncos are better to run the AFC West?
I think the Broncos, because their defense is elite. Yeah. I don't see any elite aspect of the Chargers team, but the Broncos defense could carry them definitely to a division title.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Jags as the team that stands out to me, because I've been on a heater or a bender of hating the Jags this entire season, but I've watched the games, and that's really where I don't understand how they're 4-2, because from a performance standpoint, if you look at the box scores alone for all 6 of the games the Jaguars have played, they're not good. They're actually really bad, and the identity of this team in my mind is really largely Travis Etienne. Is how I think they found a lot of success. But they drafted Travis Hunter. He's been a non-factor on really both sides of the ball, and I get it. He's a rookie. It's going to take time. Brian Thomas Jr. had a breakout last year, and in this game he did decent, but aside from this game, been a non-factor. Trevor Lawrence has not really looked great, and the stat lines certainly, back that argument up. It just hasn't looked great, and they are still finding ways to win. If I was to pick a team on here that I think is the most fraudulent, I'm going to take the Jaguars, because I think that when they start facing some real competition, they're going to fold. And I mean, they lost this game against the Seahawks, who I think is a middling of the pack team that has some upside. I think when the Jags find real competition and they start playing some better teams, it's really going to show. So if I was to pick one,
that's what makes that Chiefs game last week such a head scratcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
does.
even in that Chiefs game, like, yeah, they looked pretty good, but that is by far the best that they've looked all season. And
yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, it's any given Sunday in the NFL. We know that there are teams that can turn it on, and we just have to see them put it together in a consistent way. And so far this season, you're right. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has kind of looked a little bit lost, and this team just does not look like they're going to compete with the top tier in the NFL.
Yeah, he almost looks like he panics at some points in time.
Yes.
Versus like a quarterback with his tenure should be a little bit more sure. Even if he sucks, at least some of them that are sure of themselves, they suck pretty sure of themselves. They're like, fuck it. You know, he still looks like he just panics, and I don't know why. He just looks very erratic at times.
You mentioned the Chiefs. I mean, that was one stumble and fumble away from them losing.
Well, that was really that pick six that was it.
Those two plays alone, you take those out, and it's a different story. So the Jags got it done, but it could have went in a very different direction pretty easily. So, anything else on this game that we want to cover? Do we want to move on here?
No, I just think the Seahawks are for real. And I think we just talked about the 49ers. I think that is a team we're just going to have to keep paying attention to. They look like, they know how to win football games. They're doing it, and what's odd is they're doing it semi-quietly, but that generally happens from teams, from the Northwest or on the West Coast. It's a little quieter. Media obsesses over anything on the East Coast. And then it's like, oh yeah, I forgot those teams exist as well. And so we'll see if the Seahawks can keep it going. But that was my only thing. My only big takeaway was just
I'm going to bookmark the 49ers because we're going to talk about them here in a little bit. So let's move over to the Dolphins. And they floundered here against the Chargers 29-27. Gentlemen, this Dolphins team is just done. I mean, the fact that Mike McDaniel still has his job through 6 weeks is mind blowing to me. Watching this game, the Dolphins looked at times like they had a little bit of life in them and that they were going to do something, and they lost this game. But really, what I want to talk about is what happened after the game, because Tua, in a presser after the game, he basically called out his teammates and he said, "Hey." Players aren't showing up to players-only meetings. Players are showing up late, and they're essentially not being held accountable. Is really the preface of what he was stating in this entire presser. McDaniels then, had his presser. He had seen what Tua had said, and McDaniels stated that, as our franchise quarterback, that's not the forum to, displace this information, and that he does think that Tua had no ill intentions of when he was doing that, but essentially said that everybody's going to be mad when we lose, and that's just kind of what his takeaway from the Tua thing.
Of course, McDaniel's going to say all that because this.
What do you say?
Directly reflects poorly on him, though. I mean, this entire thing is what is going on, and honestly, we've said it many times, and we should say it again. But ever since we saw the Hard Knocks with Mike McDaniel and the way that this team treated him and interacted with him. Even back then, when they were putting up points and everyone was kind of high on their offense, nobody was saying that he's going to get fired anywhere close to then. But even then, we were saying, this doesn't seem right. Something seems weird about this relationship between the players and this coaching staff. And it's just as they've, experienced struggles on the field with Tua's concussions or whatever, it's just become so evident that Mike McDaniel is not a head coach. And honestly, I feel for him. If you tried to put me in a position of leadership over a 300-pound super athlete, he's going to look at me like I'm a doofus also. He's just not cut out for this. He is probably a great coordinator. He is not a great head coach.
Well, that's what my point was. Look at McDaniels. Does he look like you could take him seriously if he started getting angry?
No.
I would laugh at him. His little
Did you watch the HBO Hard Knocks?
No, I didn't watch it.
That to me, and I'm glad you brought that up, Scotty, because I was talking with family about Mike McDaniels because they were showing him on the sideline and they were like, "What is this guy?" And I was like, "Go watch it," because I think it really exemplifies his lack of leadership and lack of respect that he just doesn't have within that organization and his players specifically. And if I was Tua, I'm kind of glad he said it, because for Tua, he also has to think about his career, and he's got to think about the longevity of himself. And for him to come out and be like, essentially, it's not me. It's everybody else, and the fact that we don't have accountability. I'm not saying Tua is a top 5 quarterback and he should be saved, but for him to come out and basically be like, "Yo, these players aren't doing what we need them to do. They're not even showing up on time. What are we doing here?" I think that to me should have been the nail in the coffin for Mike McDaniels, and we should have got a report early this morning from Adam Schefter stating Mike McDaniels has been released from the Dolphins, and the fact that hasn't happened is wild to me.
Or at the very least, you should have had Mike McDaniel come out and say, "Hey, I was unaware about this issue, like with the players only meeting. Obviously, it's with players. Starting now, we are going to hold people accountable financially if necessary. If people aren't showing up to their duties," and he should have taken the opportunity to put his foot down, and he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, this is you could draw parallels to, we'll talk about it after the break with a certain Titans former head coach now, of where a player came out and basically said, like, this was our worst week of practice. Like, nobody was doing anything. And I think this, you can see where somebody's uninterested or looks just very like turned off with each other. And I think it is time to part ways. And I think it will happen sooner rather than later. Because McDaniels looks very much just like uninterested in anything that's happening defeated with this team. He's just like, fuck it. Like, and if that's how the leader is, and listen, he's probably a great coordinator and he probably is a very elite coordinator. And if he does get canned, if I'm a team with an offense that's struggling, I am looking at, hey, can we please hire him to help us out? Because he is an amazing coordinator. Not everybody can be the CEO. And I think not everybody is like equipped or has like the skill set to handle being the CEO, like an Andy Reid can, or a Harbaugh can. Like, it just takes a certain kind of individual to run a team that way and understand what you're trying to do. And I think he tried to do it his way. There was some early success with the offense. Obviously that was his bread and butter. And then when the wheels start coming off and now nobody trusts each other and now nobody's like, it's just like writing's on the wall. Like you said, like, it's inevitable now. It's just, when is it going to happen and when it makes sense for the team? And that's just how it's going to be. But that's got to be the end of it for him.
Who do the Dolphins play this next week? They play the Browns. They lose to the Browns. He's done. That's
honestly, I think they should fire him. They should fire him before the game, because if he beats the Browns, they should still fire him. But it's going to make it harder to fire him if they win. So I think they need to fire him now.
Well, I don't disagree, but just look at the fact that they haven't. If it doesn't come out in the next day that he's fired, he's going to be here this week. They go into the Browns, they lose, he's done. Or are we all in agreement there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They win. Then they play the Falcons. They lose to the Falcons. Is he done?
Yeah, I think if they beat the Browns, the next loss that they take, he's going to get fired. Unless something drastically looks different on the field.
I think because of what Tua's already said, it's already damning. It's damning enough.
It has to be.
The results honestly don't matter now at this point. It's damning enough. Let's move on. Let's get him out of there. Everybody, like everybody's circling this team for trades because they're like, all right, well, this team blows. Like, let's move on. So like the Dolphins got to figure something out, because either they just blow it all up or they bring somebody in that can win with this group of players, because there's still a ton of talent on this team. It's not like this team is void of talent or this team is so far away. We were just talking about the Giants or the Jets. The Jets, they have like a lot of holes. They have some nice pieces, but there's a lot of holes. And I think the Dolphins, where they're at and where they're located, is very attractive for a lot of coaches that want to take on that project. But McDaniels has got to go.
Okay. Speaking of got to go, the Ravens, they got to go. They got to go. They're done, I think. I firmly believe the Ravens season is now officially over. I put them on watch last week and said, are we concerned here? And this, to me, I'm done. I think the Ravens season is done.
Well,
and
you're jumping to conclusions, because what we saw this week was Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley.
I forgot he's a Pro Bowler.
If Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley couldn't get it done, nobody can.
Rams win this game 17-3 against the Ravens. And, I think... I stated already, I think the Ravens season is done, but they're kind of similar to the 49ers as far as the injuries that they have had across the board. The difference between the Ravens and the 49ers is the Ravens aren't winning these games. They're 1-5 now. And that to me, I think, is really just the nail in the coffin. Pro Bowl quarterback Snoop Huntley could not get it done. Is the window officially closed for the Ravens? I mean, Derrick Henry has started to slow down and not look like he did last season.
Humor me just a smidgen.
I'm here for it.
This is their schedule upcoming. Okay. And they're going to get Lamar Jackson back. He's coming back healthy. They haven't had him. This Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals. That is their upcoming schedule.
Browns defense is no slouch.
It's not, but those are all extremely, extremely winnable games for this Ravens team. And the AFC is kind of on tilt right now. You have the Colts in first. Nobody knows what to believe anymore. Every team looks very erratic or up and down. I don't think it's out of the realm of the possibility that the Ravens still sneak into the playoffs because of how their schedule sets up the end of the season. And after that, it actually doesn't get much more difficult because then it's the Bengals again, it's the Patriots, it's the Steelers again. And I think they're all winnable games. Now, they could lose those. They could keep getting injuries. They could keep being frauds. But I think like as we sit right now, yes, it is very bleak. They're on life support. Somebody slaps looking ready to pull the plug. He wants to just go ahead and call it. But I think if you look at this upcoming schedule and getting Lamar Jackson back, if they can start hammering out a couple of these games, like the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, if they can figure out a way, if they can win those three, I think just the confidence that will continue to build in this team will continue to grow. Remember, they're one Derrick Henry fumble in Buffalo away from being still considered one of the top tier teams. So I think it is. They still have a lot to play for. I think the AFC is still very gettable. And like I say, let's see what happens over these next few weeks with this team.
Do you think if they lose one of those three games that you mentioned, would you be willing to hang the hat up for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
a must win. This is it.
Yeah.
This is
when
it.
you have 5 losses already, there's little room for error. You can maybe lose like 1, maybe 2 more, depending. But it just depends on how the rest of the AFC goes. But it's just like your margin for error gets very thin. Like the Bengals last year trying to get into the playoffs. Like it's just there's no room for error. Now you have to win. But I think the Ravens have the opportunity to do that, but they are on life support.
Well, it's totally irrelevant too, because even if Lamar Jackson gets into the playoffs, he's going to poop his pants and lose in the first round anyway. So
maybe it's actually good if they don't, so they don't have that narrative anymore.
Yeah, they're just like, we didn't make it.
He was going to go all the way this year, I swear.
The other thing, somehow, some way, Mike Tomlin he wins, and he's currently leading the AFC North. And, I remember seeing in preseason, in the offseason, about how these all-in moves were happening and the Steelers were going all in. And I was seeing these acquisitions and these moves that the Steelers were making, and I'm sitting here scratching my head saying, what is this all-in moves? Like, you're competing with the Ravens and the Bengals, and you're putting this mishmashed Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf conglomeration together, and this is your all-in moves? Mike Tomlin is a freaking magician. The guy is just, I don't know what he knows, what he can, what tea leaves he's reading.
Motivator of men.
I was wrong. I was like right now the Steelers are, and we'll see how this ends at the end of the season, but currently through 6 weeks, Steelers are leading the division, and I'm like, what is happening here? Mike Tomlin is winning.
I said it last week. Tomlin's the guy that goes to play blackjack at the casino, and he stays on 12 and then he wins because the dealer busts. Like that's him. Like you're like, there's no way this worked. All right, it worked. Never mind. I'm not going to question you anymore. Well, so I know we're not too. I know with the Steelers, like they get the Bengals coming up, but then they get the Packers and Colts, and I think that's when you're really going to find out who this team is and if they are for real. If they can beat one of those two teams, then I'm like, okay. This is a solid ass team. I think if they drop those pretty convincingly, it's like, okay, they're beating up on some lesser teams. The only like team they played so far that was sought to be their equal was the Seahawks, and the Seahawks cleaned them out pretty well. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, it's a Tomlin team. They're gonna find their way to. They're gonna go be on the road in the divisional round, and they're gonna lose by like 14, and then be out the door again. But this is the same thing the Steelers are on. Like they just find ways to win.
And we've talked about it a lot already, but this division is a dumpster fire. I mean, this is maybe the worst division in football.
Shouldn't be.
I understand, but it's a lot of injuries and whatever, this and that. But right now, this division, like if they aren't at the top of this division, the story is that Aaron Rodgers should retire like immediately. Like he has no.
And I think that's a really fair thing to say.
In the amount of injuries, I know this is not necessarily the topic of discussion, but the amount of injuries that we've seen in the NFL so far has totally dampened this season overall. Because like you're just not as excited to watch these teams play. Even the early window yesterday, I'm like kind of interested in like one of these games. I'm not really interested in the rest of these games. Everybody's like dying or like, and it's unfortunate, but I'm still like, it still blows my mind the NFL wants to add games to the season knowing this, because it's like totally diluting the product overall. And I get that, but what's going to end up happening is if not everybody's interested in seeing Justin Fields and Bo Nix. Like I guess not everybody's interested in seeing, Joe Flacco or whomever come out and try to like revive a team. Like people are just not interested in that. Like you got to find a way to keep the stars healthy. And I know they try that, but I guess I digress, that being that Pittsburgh is again just failing up. Like they're not failing, but they're just kind of existing. They're just not dead. So they're just there. That's what's happening.
I think that perfectly summarizes who Mike Tomlin is and has been for a while for this organization. They exist. They're a team you aren't super excited to play. You could probably win, but the chances there that you could lose. And that's just been what the Steelers have been. And right now, because their entire division has faced all these injuries, they're sitting at the top. We'll see what happens at the end of the season, but it is crazy. Another team that has had injuries is the Arizona Cardinals. And as a Cardinals fan,
I'm so excited for this.
Go ahead. This is all you,
dude.
Center stage.
I've figured it out, gentlemen. I've figured out how to get me bought back into the Cardinals. You trade Kyler Murray, give him to the Steelers. I don't care what you do. Trade him. Roll out Jacoby Brissett for the rest of the season.
Okay.
Fire Petzig. Fire John Gannon. The thing for me watching this game, I was actually really impressed with the Cardinals in this game because the Colts are what I believe to be a good team. And they really showed that the entire season. Like the Colts, you don't want to see the Colts on your schedule at this point, which is crazy because going into the season, we had a very different narrative of what the Colts were. So I was like, man, I really wasn't excited to watch this game as a Cardinals fan. I was like, I got to tune in and see what my boys are going to do, but this is going to suck. We're going to get our ass kicked. And we didn't. I mean, we lost the game, which I expected, but we were in the game. And that's what like I was actually excited for, was the fact that we were in this game. And now I don't really know who to put the blame on. Somebody needs to take some blame here. So I need to give blame to somebody. But
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're asking who should take the blame. If you close your eyes for a moment and imagine this game taking place, but Kyler Murray was the starter for the whole game, what do you imagine the score being at the end?
We still lose, but probably worse.
More.
Probably more.
So who's the blame? When you take out your starting quarterback, you're like,
hold on.
I know who to blame.
Because I'm glad you asked this question, because this is kind of going to be baked into where I have my struggles. We're missing James Conner. He's done for the season. We're missing Trey Benson, our backup running back. So Bam Knight is now our running back because DeMarcado can't seem to hold the ball into the end zone. So really, the question that I have is, did Drew Petzig, the offensive coordinator, scheme up to throw the ball more and actually start to utilize the talent that is on this team and try and get creative and do some things that we hadn't been doing? Because this offense has looked stale the entire season. It's been like, we're going to try and run the ball up the middle of the field, and then we're going to try and throw it on third down. Like the game script was there. You could see it. And because we had a backup quarterback and because we were missing all of our running backs, it looked like they were trying to get the offense more involved. Now, the question then becomes, was it Drew Petzig scheming this to actually come to fruition, or was it Jacoby Brissett just being a little bit more of a veteran quarterback as a backup quarterback and just trying to make plays and get things down the field? I think that's the case. So for me, I think Kyler Murray and Drew Petzig both share blame in this problem, because I think if Kyler Murray was out there, I think the score would have been probably worse than 27-31. So I'm of the narrative, I'm fine moving on from Kyler Murray. Trade him away, get him some new scenery. Let's just re-roll this thing. And we also lost Marvin this game too. Our wide receiver won, and we still almost won this game because that happened early on in the game. So I'd rather see Jacoby Brissett get rolled out and give us an honest fighting chance in these games that we should be competitive in.
I think you should be excited that Battlefield 6 came out. So Kyler Murray was like, wait.
That's probably why he was on.
I'm going to play that, actually. And then that gave Jacoby Brissett the opportunity to show you what could happen with this team, is my opinion.
No, and
it's just me.
Cahan here said Brissett is just an easier quarterback to scheme for. Kyler has limitations. Good quarterback class coming up. If I was the Cards, I would sell Kyler for picks and restart. I'm of that mentality as well, because I think I'm done. I'm tired of the attitude that Kyler Murray has. I'm tired of the lack of leadership that Kyler has. I'm tired of the height disadvantage that Kyler brings to the table. I'm just done. I'm done with it.
I know I always harp on the attitude stuff and like the demeanor.
No, but it's real.
Compare Kyler Murray's demeanor to Jackson Dart or to, even
I
like
would take
Caleb
Jackson Dart
Williams.
over Kyler Murray.
I think Kyler Murray would fall down if he had that necklace around his neck. I think he would literally topple over.
It would just weigh
forward.
right into the ground.
He would just be like, "Oh God." Okay, hold on. As much as we're talking about the Cardinals, I mean, I think this says more about the Colts. I think the Colts find ways to win. I think this is if you look at
Good one, Uncle Lo.
I don't know. I could see Kyler Murray getting into Battlefield. Okay, so the stat that I saw for the Colts through 6 games, they scored 194 points, which is the most any Colts team has ever scored through the first 6 games in their franchise history. And I don't know. I don't have to be a historian to tell you that Peyton Manning was once leading offenses with Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne.
Are you trying to say
they
Daniel
didn't
Jones
even
is better than
score.
Peyton Manning?
They didn't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying right now. That's what I'm saying right now. No, what I'm saying is this team's for real. Like this team can score.
Yeah.
This team has good enough defense. I think anytime you get a quarterback that comes in that hasn't played in a while or you don't have a lot of tape, like you're going to get outcomes like this. And that's what I more attribute the Brissett. It's more of just like a randomness. It's just like, oh shit. Like I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know what we were scheming up. I wasn't sure what was going to be coming down. And when you don't have film on it, that's what a lot of these defensive coordinators rely on, what their looks and reads and all that are. And I think it just totally changes when you bring in somebody like that. But I think for the Colts to even bring in this team, I mean, the Cardinals have talent, but I think the Colts, man, as longer this just keeps going,
the Colts are going to the playoffs.
It's like
the Colts are going to the playoffs.
I'm pretty sure their playoff
and they're going to make
are 95+% at this point.
The Colts are like the Rams last year, where nobody wants to see them on the schedule because they're a very good team. They have weapons all over the place: Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Joshua Downs, and Daniel Jones is looking really freaking good. And then their defense, like you mentioned, is backing it up, which I was surprised at because I didn't really think the Colts defense was going to be anything. They're a good team. They're a very good team.
This comment from KN, though, is exactly what was going through my head, too. I still just don't
You don't think they're going to make noise in the playoffs?
I just don't believe it. And I could just be stupid, and maybe it's a bias on my part, but when I see Daniel Jones and I see this Colts team, and yeah, they're having success, and yes, they look good, I just don't believe that when crunch time comes around and they've got to play the Lions or they've got to play the Eagles or the Chiefs, I don't believe it. I don't believe that they're at that caliber. I think that maybe they win a game in the playoffs. I do think that at this point, playoffs seem like almost a foregone conclusion for them, barring some catastrophic collapse. But it just seems like they're not going to be able to compete. Maybe it's just because they haven't done it in a long time, and this group of guys isn't used to performing on that big of a stage, and maybe that's why they collapsed. But I just still am not a believer.
I will say the difference between the Vikings. I think that Vikings team. I know we talked about it. They had a lot of like puck luck, as we call it, like the ball bounces their way. I think they had a lot of that happening. I don't see that from this Colts team where it's like they're backing their way into wins or somebody does something totally out of character and you're like, what? Like if anybody just like keeps their shit together, they're going to be able to beat this team. And I don't see the Colts doing that. I mean, obviously their schedule hasn't been as tough as some others, but I think that's what the Colts have going for them.
Well, and it's a really interesting comparison because you talking about the 2024 Vikings or the 2025 Colts, what team is better? I'm taking the Colts. I think the Colts are a better team than the 2024 Vikings, and obviously time will tell. But I think just like Scotty said, it is a foregone conclusion, and they will be going to the playoffs, and then we'll see what happens because any given Sunday, and that is a true thing. So, gentlemen, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor very quickly. So let's go ahead and do that now.
This combo meal's got combinations. Make this thing your own creation. Entree, drink, and choice of sides. Oh, and it's free to swap fries. BK, have it your way.
This episode is brought to you by Burger King because sometimes you just need to feel like royalty while eating with your hands. Listen, you've had a long week, you've survived your boss, your fantasy team, and maybe even your in-laws. You deserve a flame-grilled miracle. And that miracle is the Whopper, stacked high with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, and that perfect char that says, yeah, I eat like a king. So go ahead, skip the salad, embrace the grease, and grab a Whopper from Burger King today because while other places have drive-thrus, only one has the kingdom. Burger King. Go get Burger King today. All right, let's keep this train rolling, gentlemen. Let's talk about the Panthers Cowboys because the Panthers win this game 30-27. This was the Rico Dowdle Revenge Tour game. I got to start by asking you this. Rico Dowdle over these last 2 weeks has looked absolutely crazy. He's It's incredible. I mean, it's been great. What happens when Chuba Hubbard returns? Because Chuba just signed in this last offseason. He signed a 4-year, $33 million contract this offseason, tying him to the Panthers until 2028. However, the Panthers do have a potential out in 2026. That would be only $4.5 million in dead cap. What is happening here? What is happening with Rico and Chuba?
I mean, Rico, it's hard to believe that this level of production.
What a name combo.
Yeah, I know.
What's happening with Rico and Chuba?
Chuba.
Like I'm on some weird Netflix documentary.
I don't think that this is going to continue for Rico Dowdle, but certainly it looks like he's been revitalized, and maybe just getting farther away from from Jerry Jones will do that for you. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm excited to do this again. But I think, just from this perspective, it seems like the most likely outcome is it's going to be a two-headed backfield, and maybe it'll be a little bit better than what people expected. But as far as this game goes, I just want to tell you my first thought that popped into my head is the expectations are getting low again from the Panthers. So Bryce Young just pulls his pants up and in the fourth quarter finishes games. Like when the expectations are high, Bryce Young cannot figure out how to play football. And once things start going south, he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot I'm an NFL athlete." And he turns it on. It's amazing. Like it's just through a couple of years now. That is very, very consistent.
I was happy that Rico went belt to ass on these Cowboys. I think now that gives him back-to-back over 200-yard all-purpose games, and he broke McCaffrey's Panthers all-purpose record, which was previously 237. He had 239. So he's like on some weird run right now where it's like, is he just gonna we just gonna do this now?
You have to get him involved. Like you have to play. And that is a good point. Squishy Ducky makes. Rico, he also played 2 of the worst run defenses. I mean, the Cowboys statistically are one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now.
Okay, but counterpoint, if either of us tried to go run against those defenses, we are not putting up over 200 yards.
Well, we're not NFL athletes. That's why we talk about the NFL.
Not with that attitude, you're not.
Well, thank you. I do like to think that I am a talent. You were talking about Bryce Young there for just a moment, Scotty, and it's kind of interesting because you've been saying this for a couple of years now, that like when the expectations are low, Bryce Young performs, but when people come in and expect something from him, he falls. I looking at this game, I did the fantasy show with the other guys on Sunday, and we talked about this game before it happened, and I said, this is going to be a shootout. It's going to be a higher scoring game. And for me, this is how I look at this game is, the Cowboys need to stop the run. They're going to focus on stopping the run. So is Bryce Young going to be able to step up and make the plays that he needs to make in order for this to happen? Unfortunately for the Cowboys, they couldn't stop the run, so Bryce Young really didn't need to do anything. It turned out they just needed Rico Dowdle and they could win this game. Bryce Young still didn't play phenomenal. I mean, he didn't play terrible, but he didn't play great. And so looking at Bryce Young at this juncture, what do you do with him? I mean, he's you're kind of getting close to the point where you're going to have to figure out, is he the future of the franchise or do you move on? Where do you guys draw that line at? Because it's coming. I mean, he's got one more year, and then you're going to have to make that decision. And if the Panthers continue on this trajectory, they might have a draft pick to be able to re-roll and get out of Bryce Young.
I was going to say, gun to head, do you pay him now? Do you pay him or let him walk?
I think you let him walk.
I think you let him walk too. I think, especially looking at this quarterback class is looking so far like it's going to be decently strong. Honestly, just looking at his physical attributes, it's same with Kyler Murray. Like these guys have to be spectacular athletes to make up for their physical disadvantages, and we just have not seen that yet. Like it's not like Anthony Richardson, where it's like, okay, maybe he's bad, but look at him. It's the exact opposite of that.
Coming off the bus, he looks amazing. Yeah. Bryce Young walking off the bus.
He's on
IR. Is that the ball boy? Is he supposed to be?
Who is that? Who's that guy?
Is it Make-A-Wish?
I think you move on because we've seen and we've talked about this.
But will they?
I don't think so, because I think Dave Canales likes him. Yeah. But I think you move on.
Yeah, I think they're gonna basically reason in their own head that they didn't do this right around him, which could also be true. But yeah. I think this is where I know we talk about this every year. It's frustrating how everybody else can see the writing on the wall, but everybody's scared to make a rash decision because nobody wants that egg on their face.
Yeah,
just in case. And we've seen that in the past, even like look at this year with Baker Mayfield. Mm-hmm. Like I bet you the writing on the wall will be like, no, you got to get rid of him. He obviously can't get it done. Obviously he's not an NFL quarterback. So it's like there's also some of that plays into this. But It's like, just make quicker decisions. Like, if he's not good for your team or franchise, just move on. Maybe he will be good later, but just that's not for you to figure out right now because you don't believe in him right now. That's why I wish they would just make that. Teams would just make that call, but I don't think they will.
I mean, we look at what happened with Tua. We looked at what happened with Trevor Lawrence, where they got these big contracts, and we're sitting here saying, "What are we doing here?" And now you're locked into Tua. You're locked into Trevor Lawrence, and you don't have any other option but to roll them out on a week-to-week basis. That's going to be the situation that I think the Panthers are going to find themselves in, where if they do sign him to a long-term contract, what are we doing? You've now put your franchise on hold for another 3 or 4 years in the hopes that maybe you can figure this out. And that's what they did with the Jags and with the Dolphins. And I think that if history is any indication, you need to move on from him. Just cut your losses and say, okay, this didn't work out. We wish you the best. We're going to draft someone else and move on.
Yeah.
So a franchise that is finding themselves in the up and up is the Patriots. They win this game 25-19 against the Saints. I think the only notes that we have in here is Drake May. He's cute.
Drake May.
Well, there is something else besides Drake May that we could talk about. Okay.
Is it Spencer Rattler?
No, go ahead.
No, it's Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs looks like a real leader on this team, and we haven't seen that from him in a long, long time. Since really at the top of his game with the Vikings. But remember when he was with the Bills, and it was like drama, and it was almost like he was a cancer in the locker room. And now when you see him on the sideline in that Patriots uniform, homeboy he's hyping up the team. He's getting everybody excited to play, and he seems like he's a real leader, and it's making a difference. And I think with a young quarterback like Drake May, as opposed to Josh Allen, where it's like, okay, everybody knows Josh Allen's the superstar. Drake May is looking for somebody who he can partner with to make this team successful. And it seems like he's found that in Stephon Diggs. If not, if Stephon Diggs is obviously past his prime, so it's not going to be on the field every week, but it feels like he's making his impact known on the team. And it's been really impressive to me to see.
Have you thought it's because he needs more money because he's got a baby on the way?
Could be. Or it could be like he's done just enough drugs with Cardi B that now his leadership has really kicked in.
Yeah, there's the one thing I will say from I mean, no, this is in the vacuum of this game, but I would strongly encourage the Patriots to not go the Chiefs route and have your quarterback also be your leading rusher. They might want to sort that out. Is the only piece of advice I would give them. Is that's probably not long-term good for you. Maybe against the Saints, that's fine. But maybe let's figure out that running back room and figure out who is going to be leading that. What are we actually going to do?
Well, they drafted Travion Henderson, but Ramondre Stevenson they had under contract, and they have him under contract for a while, and he's not really a high-performing running back from statistically. Statistically, he's great at giving the ball to the opponent.
You mean 13 carries for 18 yards for a 1.4 average was not statistically moving the needle? It's not negative.
I was going to say, it's not moving it in a Justin Fields career arc, but it's also not doing anything to get anybody excited about your run game. So I don't know, because Travion Henderson really hasn't been involved like a lot of people had hoped he would as a rookie coming into the season. I don't know.
As a Ramondre Stevenson owner in fantasy, don't care. Please delete his carries and give them to Travion Henderson, because that is what this team needs. They need.
What a hero you are, Alan.
They need. Well, yeah, I don't care. I think that, but that's what that team needs. But Drake May, they should be thanking their stars that he's got a level head right now.
Well, I while we're talking about this game, I have one question, and then we'll move on here. The Saints are not a good team. The Saints are actually a really, really bad team, which we all kind of had them pegged as that going into the season, and that is coming to fruition. But I want to talk about Spencer Rattler for just a moment, or not Spencer Rattler, why can I not think of his name?
The quarterback?
Spencer Rattler, because they drafted Tyler Shuck, who I was thinking of.
Spencer
Rattler has been their starter for him. He's not looked terrible. Like, I don't think he's the reason they're losing these games. I'm not sitting here saying he's like a top 10 quarterback, but he hasn't looked bad. Do you think there's a realistic possibility that they kind of just keep using him for the next few years and trying? That's what I want to figure out here, because I think the Saints have a lot of problems. But he hasn't been he's not losing them games. He's not winning them games, but he's also not losing them games.
No, if I'm like slightly curious, if I'm the Saints organization, I'm like, could he maybe do something for us? I mean, he's definitely talented enough, he's coming out of high school, highly sought after, recruit. So it's not like he was totally devoid of like exposure and talent and what he needed to do. Like, I think the question was always, is he going to be a starter? Can he develop to lead a team? I think if your baseline is he totally hosing us, he's meeting that bar. I think if the baseline moves up to, is he going to win us the playoffs? I don't know yet. And I think that's what Kahan's alluding here to as well. Like you just don't know. And he's looked okay with what he has around him. And I know nobody's expecting much out of the Saints team, but he's definitely not contributing to the shit show that might be the New Orleans Saints this year.
Well, in my mind, I think he's going to be their quarterback at least for the next few years because they're still in cap space purgatory, and that like what's your alternative? You know,
Taysom
like
Hill.
Well, he's like God, the fact that he's on the team.
Eventually,
Wildcat.
that tap's gonna run out.
They're just gonna tush push Taysom Hill down the field. Like he's just gonna be like weak. They're gonna weekend at Bernie's his ass right through a goal line. That's just what their goal is at this point.
I think Rattler is here for the foreseeable future. I think because of where the Saints are at, they need help everywhere, and I think he's. I'm not going to sit here and say he's great, but I think he's usable, and I think he's better than some other alternatives. So that's how I look at that situation. And I do think Spencer Rattler will be the quarterback.
Think Spencer's ringing the bell he needs to ring, and that's keeping Olave happy. And I think Olave's getting his touches. He's getting his yards up. I think Shaheed's also really good. I mean, they do have some talent, but there's a lot of holes on this team. But I think you're right. I think my thought before the season was Rattler was going to suck. Like he was
Me too.
Go for like
I
he's
thought
going to be like
thing.
Justin Fields-esque stat lines, and he's just not doing that. He's actually producing what he can with this team. So yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to be there for a little bit.
Okay. Mike Tomlin does it again, gentlemen. He gets another win under his belt. He is 23-9 versus the Browns in this last game here. Gentlemen, I'm so freaking sick of asking this question, but I've got to ask it.
Here we go.
Buckle up, gentlemen, because
Here
I'm going to
we go.
ask it. Dylan Gabriel went 29 for 52, 221 yards, 0 touchdown. His QBR was 33.8 in this game, and the Steelers' defense is kind of middle of the pack. They're known to be a little bit better, but it's not good, guy. I mean, he played a great game last week. He actually did pretty well, but you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier on, and I'm glad you brought that up because this is where I wanted to put this point of emphasis in this conversation is we didn't have a lot of tape on him, right? And now that the NFL has a little bit more tape on him and defensive coordinators can get some tape on a guy, that really helps create that game script and planning against him, and I think that showed in this game. Is there a chance that Shedeur Sanders we see him finally get rolled out? I mean, is that a possibility?
Probably at this point. Because, I mean, they have two. At some point this season's going to be over, and they're going to have to see what they have. But just like Kahan, that's what I was going to say. Who the fuck are they throwing it to? That's why I'm shocked.
He was their leading receiver as a tight end.
That's why I was shocked he threw 52 times. Like, who the fuck you throwing to?
I think the fact that he threw 52 times.
Who's going to catch those?
I think the fact that he threw 52 times leans more toward they're not going to play Shedeur, because that tells me that this team is just like, we need to give Dylan Gabriel as many reps as we can, as many live reps. Like, we're going to design our offense. We know throwing the ball 52 times when Judkins has looked as good as he has is not a way for us to win games. And we're going to do it anyway to make sure that our rookie gets some reps. And that's what this tells me.
So you think if we're talking about the same stat line for the next 4 weeks, it's still going to be Gabriel and Shedeur is firmly cemented on the bench.
There's an end to it at some point. I mean, if he just looks so pathetic that eventually they have to make a move. But I think if he's even somewhat usable and it shows any sort of promise and shows, even like looks like Bryce Young has looked, where it's like he kind of looks bad for 3 quarters, but then has a few good drives where he puts something together. I think that they are quite convinced that they're going to stick with Dylan Gabriel.
I think the other thing that'll force their hand is if Gabriel still keeps getting hit as much as he did. They got to him 6 times. He's, you don't want to completely throw him to the wolves either. So it's probably it could be a situation where it's like, let's save him. Fine, let's put Shedeur out there. Maybe see if we get another team interested, because we probably want to move. And I imagine they want to get off that carousel as well.
So you're kind of taking the approach that we talked about with Jackson Dart, where it's like you want to see some optimism that he could be the guy. If that stat line continues and the performance that we saw this last week continues, they just like Kahan put in the comments here, they have some firsts. You think they just re-roll again and get another quarterback in the next draft, or do you think that would be a mistake for them?
I think they just need offensive weapons in general. I think at some point you're going to have to put somebody out there that threatens the defense or stress the defense. We just talked about Tomlin, how he's just a freaking menace.
Yeah.
Like, you think he was scared about scheming up a game plan for Dylan Gabriel? I can't imagine so. Or can his DBs cover the lackluster wide receiver talent that's out there? I can't imagine so. So, I mean,
Jerry Jeudy is not the guy.
No. I mean, he's a good complementary piece, but he's not.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver.
Yeah, like, I think but I mean, that's what you're going to get here. I think that was just like, they were in no man's land. Like, Dylan Gabriel was not going to outsmart anything that Tomlin and that staff was going to do.
Yeah. Bill Callahan, head coach for the tight ends, is no longer a head coach for the Titans because he got fired. I said tight ends the first time, but I meant to say Titans because they lost this game. Titans 10, Raiders 20. This was a battle of the gross for me. Watching this game, I was like, which team is going to which is the worst team between these two teams, because they're both really bad. But the news in NFL headlines and NFL media today was that Bill Callahan did get fired after a 1-6. What's that?
Brian.
Oh, excuse me, Brian Callahan, not Bill Callahan.
Bill's his dad.
Bill is his father.
Go Big Red.
Yeah, GBR. Brian Callahan, another B Callahan. He lost to the Raiders and he had a 1-6 start to the season. You know, I saw the headline. I'm not surprised that he got fired, but really my question is that I posed to you guys is where does this organization go from here? And namely Cam Ward, because where does this leave him? He was drafted to be the future of this franchise. He loses his head coach 6 weeks into his rookie season. From both a developmental standpoint as well as a my guy standpoint, does this make it better or worse for the future projection of what Ward could be here? Because you've lost the guy that believes in you. Now they're going to have to find a new head coach. Does he believe in you? Can he get the best out of you? Like, there are a lot of thoughts floating around in my head. I need you guys to maybe help pick and choose and pluck those out and get this organized for me.
Well, here's my thought, because normally what you're kind of alluding to, I'm on the same page with, which is you got a new quarterback, give him some stability. Like, even if it's not working, have some stability, because it's so difficult. You know, we've said it with Trevor Lawrence. Like, you at some point, you know, you got to stop making excuses, but the leash is pretty long for a quarterback that has a new coaching staff and a new coaching staff, or the Bears organization has gone through the same thing. But I do think that this Titans team has looked so pitiful that it was justified. Like, this was not a team that was just rebuilding. And like we've said, you know, when I watch Cam Ward play, yeah, it's far from perfect, but you can see the potential with this guy. It's not like Anthony Richardson was. Like, Anthony Richardson stepped on the field and you're like, what the fuck is he doing out there? Like, it doesn't make sense. Cam Ward, you're like, oh, this guy could definitely be the guy. And we just saw the team look lost game after game after game. So I tend to think, okay, the front office probably has a leg to stand on here. Maybe they should try and go find somebody else who wants to stick with Cam Ward for the long term. But I think that this team wants Cam Ward. They don't want a coach to come in and not perform and then start thinking about drafting a new quarterback. They want, when they hire a coach, the first question they're going to ask is, have you seen Cam Ward play, and do you believe that you can coach him to be the best version of himself? Because that's going to be the game plan.
Correct. This is the right call. This is what I want NFL teams to do more frequently, is just make a fucking decision and move on. Like, Brian was not the answer. Let's resurrect this. Cam Ward is obviously the future of this team. I think they have a lot of problems all over. They don't have playmaker. Their offensive line is atrocious. Like, they got to figure some things out with the core of that team and then see where you are. But I think this is smart. Bring in a coach that can do that. Bring in a coach that can develop Cam Ward. Like, Brian was just not going to do that. That's just not going to happen. So applaud the Titans organization for making a call sooner rather than later.
Well, they also got rid of Mike Vrabel, which I thought was crazy. Like, and I think that was kind of a mutual parting of his kind of like the
they like squeezed everything out of that they could, I thought. Like, Vrabel took that Titans team as far as they could go. Yeah.
And now you got to figure it out again. I've said this before, and I still really firmly believe I don't think Cam Ward is the problem. I think Cam Ward is
sample size is too small to make.
Yeah, but I think he could be the saving grace for them. Like you were talking about when we were talking about Jackson Dart, and you were like, I asked you, would you rather have him or Cam Ward? And it's like, Cam Ward's making some throws that I'm just like, what the hell? Like, that's 100%. Insane. I think the velocity he throws with his balls are like, there's too much heat on some of them, but like, I don't think it's his fault that the Titans are losing these games. He hits his receivers and his playmakers in the chest, and they drop it all the time. And I'm just like, man, like, what are we doing, boys? Like, this Titans team has a lot of problems, and I don't think Cam Ward is one of them. So I largely agree with you guys. I think them moving on from Callahan is the right move, but there is a little bit of just like, what's going to be the future here? And that's where, if I was a Titans fans, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. So, and that leaves some room for confusion, I think. So,
Yeah.
Where there's not confusion, gentlemen, is Baker Mayfield, baby. That guy is a dog. He is. We put out a graphic over on LeatherBrainz on our social medias today and asked this question: should Baker Mayfield be a front runner for MVP candidate? And I pose that same question to you, gentlemen.
I think he should be the front runner. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a.
Top.
You can make arguments for people like Mahomes, and I think there are arguments that can be made that may be strengthened over time. But as of right now, there is one quarterback in the NFL that you want on your football team, and it's Baker Mayfield. And it's not even close. I don't think.
I don't think so either.
I think that anyone who argues with it isn't watching these games or is a biased fan or whatever. There's no doubt about it that Baker Mayfield is absolutely killing it, and he deserves all the flowers.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs win this game 30-19 against the 49ers here. And look, we've talked about the 49ers already. They are depleted. The fact that this team is 4-2 as of right now is mind-boggling to me, because they are limping their way through some of these wins, and they lost this game. I expected them to lose this game. The Bucs are a good team, and they lost Igbuka in this game as well, the last wide receiver of the starting three between him, Godwin, and Evans. And Baker Mayfield doesn't care. I mean, he cares about his guys, I'm sure, but he's like, you know what? All right, well, we still got to find a way to win, and they did that handily. Baker's a guy. I mean, he's a dog.
He's a dude. I think that scramble he made on third down, even Tez Johnson mentioned it after. He's like, man, he says Baker claims he blacked out and was just trying to go get yards. Like, he's just a baller. He's a gamer. I think he's exactly what this team needs, even for wide receivers that aren't used to being in this position, like a Tez Johnson, which had a funny story I'll get to in a second. But
that was a crazy catch too.
It was a great catch. And I think Baker, I mean, it's another fourth quarter where he came back, he led this team, kept them on the straight. And that's what the NFL is. The NFL, you rarely see blowouts. It's about, can you lead your team late in the game to either get in position to win or actually win? And I think Baker has proven over the last couple years, not even just this year. I think he's totally rewritten the narrative of himself, which is really hard to do in the NFL. In the NFL, once you're something, that's just kind of how you are. And for Baker to change that narrative from how he was, jumping teams and now landing with the Bucs the last couple of years and proving that he is like now at an MVP level caliber, even through the first 6 weeks. Like, we say first six, but I mean, that's a good chunk of the NFL season so far that he's proven that he can do this.
Well, there's two things that came to mind to me that you brought up that I really want to dig deeper on. First and foremost, I think there's one game that stands out to me that really, I think, allowed Baker to continue his career. And if this game did not happen, I don't know if we would be sitting here having this conversation. And it was that Rams game.
Yeah.
That Rams game. Yeah. He came in with like 3 days preparation and just went and won the game. I mean, he had to win that. He didn't have to, but he ended up like putting the game on his back and winning that game as the starting quarterback for the Rams. And I think if he didn't do that, I don't know if we would be sitting here having this conversation, because I don't know if he would have been given the opportunity to continue his career. So that game to me, I will never forget that game, because I was just awestruck.
It's incredible.
It was amazing.
He just came in off the street, or he just came in, was like, hey, we need you to go win this game. I think it was against the Raiders.
I don't remember who it was against.
I think it was against the Raiders, but he came back and won. But yeah, I think he's MVP, and he's still doing it. Like, I mean, that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing that I really wanted to touch on really quickly is the fact that he was kind of asked about this in one of the pressers. I don't think it was this week. It might have been a week ago. But he was asked about like the swagger of who Baker is, and he's like, listen, he goes, and I'm going to paraphrase this, so don't take this verbatim, but he had said something along the lines of, when I was with the Browns and I had too much swagger and people looked at it one way, and now that I'm winning games and I'm doing it with the Bucs, it's like, oh, he's the guy. And it's like, people write your own narratives for what you are and who you are. And he goes, I really haven't changed as far as my mentality towards this game. That's just who I've always been. And I thought that was really, really interesting, because, that was kind of one of the things that was flagged as a red flag for Baker with the Browns, was like, he's got too much swagger. He's got too much going on.
It was
he was with Oklahoma as well.
My favorite memory of Baker is when he grabbed his nutsack.
He's grabbed his junk.
Whoever they played in college. It was electric.
Yeah. I mean, the story with Tez Johnson's amazing, because if you go back, and I'll send you guys the clip after this, but Tez Johnson, they're interviewing him in the locker, and after he caught that ball, they were chanting MVP.
Yeah.
And he went back and he was like, what? Why are they saying him? And for me, like, I haven't done anything. And they're like, no, they're talking about Baker. He's like, oh. So I think that team, like, that just shows you like how young this team, guys that are in there making plays. But I think when you have a quarterback that you believe can win games and can get you the ball and move the ball, you perform differently. And that's what Baker's doing. He's elevating those wide receiver room that is depleted.
That's the point, is like Tez Johnson, who's should never touch an NFL field when everybody's healthy. Baker Mayfield trusts him enough to throw that ball, because not only was it a phenomenal catch, but what a freaking throw by Baker. Like, both things had to be right on point there for that to work. The fact that he trusts Tez Johnson, I don't want to say off the streets, but is somebody who should not have been in the game even to begin with. Like, I think that's a testament to Baker as well for trusting his team.
Yeah.
Well, and what we're seeing out of Baker Mayfield is what we hope to see out of Jackson Dart. I mean, this is like Jackson Dart in 3 or 4 years, and it's the same exact thing. You're seeing this player who's just a dog on the field, elevating his guys and making everyone believe in the team, and that's just what they're doing, and it's awesome to see. This is why people watch the NFL, for these storylines right here.
Quick score update: the first Monday night game is already kicked off. Atlanta took the opening kick, marched down the field, 7-0 Falcons.
How many yards does Kyle Pitts have?
He has 0. Algier.
That's all right. He'll get on the horse soon.
The 21-yard touchdown run.
Thank you for the update. We'll continue those as we continue this episode here. While we're talking about MVP, is it fair to say that we all unanimously have Baker as the
right now?
Right.
Like, if you ended it right now, close the polls, hand out the award. It's Baker.
Okay, through 6 weeks. Now, there's some other candidates. I want to know give me 2 other ones in this list that I'm gonna present to you guys. We've got Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones himself, Patrick Mahomes, Sam Darnold, and maybe Christian McCaffrey. I mean, are those all fair? Is that a fair list, do you think?
Yeah. I think when people do all the hand-wringing when the Vegas odds come out, the Vegas odds aren't for right now. The Vegas odds are projecting to the end of the season who's actually going to win this award. And I still think Josh Allen and Mahomes should still be some of the front runners, because Mahomes is you
take Mahomes off that Chiefs team. What do you have over these last?
I mean,
you're 0-6.
It's insane. He had 4 total touchdowns, over 300 yards of offense. Last night, like, he is clearly one of the best players in the NFL. But I think right now, that's what I was saying. Like, I definitely would put Mahomes and Josh Allen still at the top of that list if I'm projecting out into the future. But if it's right now, you have to give it to Baker. And if Baker continues on this run, then you definitely have to
take Baker out. Yeah. Baker's already won it. Give me the 2 other guys on this list: CMC, Danny Dimes, Mahomes, Sam Darnold.
For me, we know that this award is kind of a beauty pageant sort of award. It's more about headlines than anything else. And I think Daniel Jones has got to take the cake, where nobody expected this to be the result of Daniel Jones being the starter here. And I know that, it's all about headlines. It's all about media. And if you're going to take Baker out of it, Daniel Jones has got to be the guy, even though Mahomes on the field and the stat lines are, definitely right where he should be in the MVP race.
Yeah, I'm going to take Daniel Jones as well. I mean, that to me is it's low-hanging fruit, and it's the argument is there. Because what was this team without him? What was this team with Anthony Richardson? And it is a very different situation. So I think, the level of play that he's bringing to the table, I think he deserves to be in the conversation. Now, just like you said, Alan, as the season progresses, things will change. But as of right now, I think that's...
I agree with Scotty, though. This is the MVP now has totally taken on a whole new life of its own of this. Just like, it's such a political pawn, it feels like, for certain individuals to either cement legacy. I know last year with Josh Allen, as good as he was, statistically it wasn't that great, but it was kind of well, what would they be without him? And it's it seems like it moves. So we'll see what the parameters are this year. But I would agree with you. I think if you're looking at in this year, who is performing, who is leading, who is doing what they need to do right now, I would agree with you. I think Baker and David.
Okay. And Uncle Owens had said, Uncle Owens barbecue. I hope it's good barbecue. He said Daniel Jones will get comeback player of the year. I agree. I think there is no reason why he should not win that award.
Was he hurt last year? Didn't they change that? I thought they were changing
Daniel
that.
Jones?
Am I crazy? No. I thought they changed the parameters of comeback player of the year. It has to be injury related.
We had this conversation last year.
I could have sworn they changed the parameters of that.
I don't think they actually changed anything. I think we talked about it, but I don't think it was actually a thing. But maybe.
Okay, I'm going to look this up real quick.
Okay, you look it up. We're going to talk about another quarterback that got injured and somebody who came in and maybe, potentially, is going to give this franchise maybe a little bit of optimism here, and that being Joe Flacco. So obviously, of course, we know Joey B's out for the season probably, and Jake Browning was not the answer. So the storyline here, the Bengals lost this game against the Packers 18-27. However, we saw signs of life from the Bengals that we hadn't seen under Jake Browning. And so, this was an interesting watch for me. And as I said, the storyline for me was Joe Flacco. He's starting with roughly less than a week of prep time. He comes in, and this offense looked a heck of a lot better than it did with Jake Browning. So I asked this question: do we expect a more positive trajectory with Flacco taking the reins here than with Jake Browning? And I'm not saying the Bengals are going to go to the playoffs. I'm not going to say the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, but is it at least going to be watchable football? And are the Bengals maybe going to win some of these games that we didn't have them pegged to win with Jake Browning? You're nodding your head yes, Alan.
I think so. I want to clarify my last point because this involved Flacco, because Flacco won it last. But the AP did clarify the comeback player of the year is to honor a player who demonstrated resilience by overcoming illness, physical injury, or circumstances that led to him missing playing time the previous season. Because Flacco
Daniel Jones fits the mold. He got cut.
Circumstances is pretty bland.
Because Flacco basically, they're like, what did he come back from? Just like not starting. So
yeah,
they clarified. So
Daniel
I think
Jones.
it's meant to be injury related or illness related, not just, hey, I sucked 1 year or I didn't play for a year. Now I'm back because
but like there's enough gray where I think you can make the argument and I would stand behind it. He got cut from the Giants, so he lost his opportunity. He went to play backup at the Vikings, and now
his circumstances are he sucked really bad at football, and now he doesn't.
All
anymore.
that to say, Daniel Jones is probably not going to win it.
That sucks
for that
because he should win it.
Yeah,
but Joe Flacco, I mean, what did you guys take away from this?
I actually sat down and watched this game. This was one that I actually paid attention to beginning to end, and the beginning was very rough, but I think that's understandable. He just joined the team. He never had like plays on his wrist, and he had to have them because this was a new team. Yeah. But by the end, it was like caveman discovering fire again. He was like, get ball to Jamar Chase. Good things happen to offense, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, there was a couple throws that I was
there
like,
was a couple.
Damn. There was a couple. I think they were in this. It was 27-18, but there was a moment there in the fourth quarter where it was getting frisky.
It was getting frisky.
The thought I had is Joe Flacco gonna beat the Packers twice in 1 year on two different teams? I was like, please let that be a talking point. Didn't happen. Packers took care of business. I think Jordan Love made some tremendous throws down the stretch to like keep them ahead. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh shit, is this going to be a thing?
Like, it would have been so funny. There was some Packers fan who tweeted a picture of Joe Flacco on like a commercial flight, and it's like, if Joe Flacco joins this team after 4 days of notice and flying Delta and beats us, the crash out's going to be legendary. And I'm like, dude, the storyline would be so good. To answer your question, I mean, probably the Bengals looked about as bad as it's possible to look. So, any change is probably going to make them look a little bit better, but their season's over. I mean, I hate to say it.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying, is it at least going to be more entertaining? And are the Bengals maybe going to win some games with Joe Flacco?
Maybe. Certainly.
I tend to think yes.
It seems like the superstars on the offense are happier, and things work a little bit better when everyone's not pissed off all the time about everything. So I think that it's very possible that they do string some wins together, or at least eke out a couple more than they otherwise would have. But I feel bad for this Bengals fans, which is hard for me to say because I really hate Bengals fans. But I feel bad for Bengals fans. They're just
it sucks. I mean, really does suck. When we're talking about product that is the NFL, we're kind of touching on this earlier. It's like when you have all these injuries, like it makes it not fun to watch. If Joe Burrow was out here and like this team was good, it would be fun to watch. But like losing Joe Burrow and seeing this team crumble, they hedged all their bets. And we said this going into preseason, like they're hedging all their bets on Joe Burrow has to do it again this season. And then you lose Joe Burrow, and it's like, I don't want to watch the Bengals anymore. And I was really excited to watch the Bengals and the craziness that is that offense with Joe Burrow at the helm. And now it's like, I don't even want to watch the Bengals because it's not a good product.
Yeah, I think this is also a good warning to fans and to GMs and front offices. Like, don't take it for granted. Just because one guy had a near MVP year performance, but it was don't think you're just going to copy and paste that the next year. That's not how it works. Ask the Eagles. Like, it just doesn't, you got to work through it. It's a new season. And if you don't address the things that will keep those parts healthy, that keep you moving, then this is just what you're going to continue to get, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. It's the Lions, Chiefs, and then we'll do Monday Night Football, and we'll get out of here. Chiefs win this game 30-17 against the Lions. There's been a lot of chatter, as Scotty likes to say, about the Lions brawl in the post game. But you guys, as Chiefs fans, I will turn it to you.
Go ahead, Scotty. Set us all up.
The Chiefs look so much better, and they've looked better every week since I was ready to throw in the towel after week 1 in Brazil. And after that week 1 loss to the Chargers, I specifically said, hey, the rational part of my brain says we shouldn't take anything away. It's week 1. They had to fly halfway across the world. It's very stupid that they did that. It's not indicative of the team. I know that there have been some tough games. The Chiefs are sitting at 3-3 right now, which is not where you expect them to be. But if you look at the eye test, you look at the product on the field, the defense has looked spectacular through 5 weeks, and the offense is getting on the horse. And the last 2 or 3 weeks in particular, you have seen this offense just looked night and day different. And we're getting the weapons back. Rashee Rice is coming back. This is still a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. And we saw that with the way that they played the Lions, who in my mind are still maybe – with the product on the field, the Lions are probably the best team in the NFL. I don't know if you guys would agree with that.
I would agree with that.
I've always said that I think that the Lions have a top tier roster, and given how much the Eagles kind of look like they're struggling, the Lions I would say are the best team in the NFL. And in this game in particular, it was just a good game. A couple of balls bounce different direction or a couple calls go a different way, and we might be talking about a different outcome of the game, but it was just good and competitive, and you could tell that these two teams were on the same playing field in terms of talent level, in terms of skill level. And I think they're the top tier of the NFL right now, and I was extremely excited to see that.
I would say a lot of the same. I think beginning of the season when we knew that Rashee Rice was going to be out until week 6, which he now is back, reinstated with the team, I was said 4-2, 3-3 is probably good given how difficult this schedule is to start the season. I said that's probably like a safe bet. And they won the games I didn't think they would win. Like you'd circle beginning of the season. And they lost the games you're like, the Eagles, I probably would have said, yeah, they're probably going to lose. But then beating the Ravens and the Lions, I'm like, okay, those are probably the other two I would have said they're probably going to lose, especially after Worthy went down in week 1. You're like, okay, well, how now what are they going to do? I think this team is still up and down. They still have a lot of things to iron out, and both teams were pretty banged up. I know the Chiefs didn't have their starting left tackle, their rookie left tackle at the beginning of the game. Lions didn't have theirs or their backup. Their secondary's hurt. And I know there's going to be a lot of hemming and hawing about, well, if then. But I mean, if you circle the parts of the game that probably had the least amount of injuries, the Chiefs defense and the Lions offense, I thought the Chiefs took away things that the Lions wanted to do, and the Lions didn't necessarily have an answer for it. After that first drive, Gibbs only rushing for like 60-some yards. They kind of took Amon-Ra out of it. They let Laporta or whoever else they want, go ahead and throw it to them. Jameson Williams, you had called it slaps at the show on Sunday from a fantasy perspective. They're going to cut those guys loose and let's see what happens. And I think they kind of beat the Lions at their own game. Thank God Harrison Butker sucks ass right now, because in that forced read, that go for it on 4th down and be more aggressive. And I think you saw that more aggressive side, because I think those would have been times where Reed would have said, let's just go ahead and kick 3. But I think it kept the pressure on this Lions offense to try to make plays, and it just kind of broke them a little bit. I don't want to overreact too much because it is just 1 week and we see what happens week to week to week. But I would say even last week against the Jaguars and now this week against the Lions, I think the Chiefs offense is one of the best in the NFL, and they're getting their number 1 wide receiver back. So I'd say there's a lot of optimism, but I think this Chiefs offense has to keep scoring, because I do think this defense has a ton of flaws. They have to play this way to win. They have to keep scoring. Yeah, I mean, I honestly still have quite a bit of faith in the defense when compared to other teams around the league. I still think this is a top-tier defensive unit. But yeah, I mean, obviously when the offense is scoring points, that makes a big difference. I just wanted to address Uncle Owen's comment here, because everyone's thinking it. Why the hell is Patrick Mahomes running so much? And it's because it's taken them 6 weeks to get any passing game going. They had lost their top 2 weapons for a long time, and now they're coming back. And you can't run the ball with your running backs effectively until you have an effective passing game, and the defense has to respect it. We're finally getting to that point now. You're going to see Pacheco and Hunt be more efficient as the season goes on, because the pass catchers are back in the offensive scheme. And I just think overall things are coming together really nicely. But when you give up 3 games early in the season, there's not a lot of room for error anymore. So the Chiefs really have to buckle down and say, hey, we're a championship team. We have championship DNA, and we're going to have to earn it going forward.
I thought this was the best game the Chiefs have played all season. I thought this was this was what I expected from the Chiefs. I had the Lions winning this game. I did. I think the Lions are the better team, like as far as just the talent that is on the field. Would I have been surprised if the Chiefs won? No, because I think the Chiefs they're always in the conversation. But I had the Lions winning this game, and the fact that the Chiefs won this game, I was surprised at. I thought this was, from both sides of the ball, I thought this was very well played by both sides. And I think if some things went differently, I think the Lions could have won this game. But I think I also had the Lions winning this game because I've seen the product that have been the Chiefs the last few weeks, and I was like, they're struggling, man. And I think the Lions are just on a heater. I think the Lions are a dominating team across the board. And so for the Chiefs to come out, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, man, the Chiefs have finally figured it out, at least for this week, because leaving last week, I'm like, how the hell did you guys lose to the Jaguars? Like that, and because I don't think the Jags are a good team, and that's what has made me or given me a lot of pessimism about what the Chiefs could be. But I think you guys are trending in the right direction. I'm interested to see how this progresses because you are getting your weapons back, and that's going to be, gentlemen. This is the first week I think for Chiefs history that both Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy may be on the field at the same time. I think that's the case.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
The first time all three were on the field.
Which I hope that let's not clap until they're on the field because I want them in a bubble.
Now they're going to score 17
I want
points
Travis
next
Kelce
week.
to stay as far away from them as possible. Like Jesus Christ.
Well, and you guys didn't even touch about the brawl after the game. I mean,
Brian Branch is just a fuck. He's been like that since he's been in the league. This guy takes cheap shots all the time. I mean, and if you're a Lions fan,
why don't you explain what happened if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about?
Okay, so there's a lot of speculation about what caused the fight, because obviously the fight was Brian Branch went and took a cheap shot on Juju Smith-Schuster when the teams were shaking hands. There's speculation about why he did that, whether or not Juju blocked him in the back or something toward the end of the game, and it doesn't matter. Obviously, you're a moron if you play a game for a living and you go try and start a fist fight after the game is over. Like it's very clearly stupid, and Brian Branch has a history of this. If you're a Brian Branch fan or even a Lions fan, you're going to justify it. Oh, it's grit. Like it's not good, but you like that attitude.
Yeah.
Like you want him to fight. But no, it's obviously stupid, and Brian Branch has had this problem since he's been in the league, and probably since before then.
Shout out Dan Campbell. I mean, I do love him.
I was going to say
coach.
that.
I think
Thank
Dan Campbell is just a good human being, and you can tell by the way he carries himself and what he says. It's genuine. He's just a good dude.
Yes.
And he came out after the game and was just like, he apologized to Andy Reid. He said he apologized to Juju, just like, that's not who we are. That's unacceptable. We don't do that.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to say it.
I like that because you can't control, like, these are grown men too. Like, you can't control everybody, and people are going to snap and do weird shit. But I appreciated that from his standpoint of just like, because that did seem out of character for a Dan Campbell led team. Like, yes, we're crazy. We're talking about biting kneecaps, but like at the end of the day, they still respect their opponents. They respect themselves and all that. So that, I feel like that was just like more of an outlier than it was like more indicative of the Lions team. And I think Dan Campbell was solid to do that. The NFL has suspended Brian Branch for one game, so he's going to miss the Monday night game against the Bucs, which with an already depleted secondary, who knows what that's going to look like. Now you're going to have random wide receivers running out routes against random cornerbacks. So I don't even know how that's going to play out for that Monday night game. But I mean, in the end, you only hurt yourself. You hurt the team. And that's unfortunate for him in the Lions. That brawl aside, the other thing I wanted to note coming out of this game, like, we're starting to enter Mahomes milestone territory, and we had another milestone. Mahomes reached 300 passing touchdowns all time, both playoff and regular season, the quickest to do it, eclipsing Roger Manning and Marino all in pace. So he's the fastest to get to 300 regular season and postseason included. So just another, milestone for a 30-year-old quarterback who's, largely already had a Hall of Fame career, and he's still playing. So there you go.
Yeah.
Some people wish they had Mahomes, and some people are stuck with Kyle Murray.
Hey, you know what? I'll take Jacoby Brissett.
If you compliment Mahomes, it's sucking him off.
I know.
If you compliment Josh Allen every episode, 40 times an episode, it's fine.
So fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Just so dumb.
I mean, Josh Allen, God, what a guy. Speaking of Josh Allen, this game is currently going on. Do we have an update, Allen, of what the score is?
7-7. It is 7-7 right now. Josh Allen answered with a touchdown drive. Falcons punted. Bills have it back.
Okay, so Bills-Falcons happening right now. Who wins this game, gentlemen?
Bills.
Bills. All
Yeah.
right. Bill Nye, the science guy. Bills are taking this one home.
Bill.
The other one that there's another Monday Night Football game that's going to be kicking off here.
I hate
very
these double
soon.
Monday nights.
I know.
What
It's
the fuck is the
ridiculous.
point of this? It's supposed to be center stage for two teams, Monday night, one game. Not like, well, here's just some more games we decided to put on a different day for no reason.
And I
Here's
can't
what I
watch
think.
both at the same time because one's
Here's what
going
I
on while
think.
the other one starts.
I think that the NFL is getting in with big TV, and they want men. Men always dream about having these man caves with 40 TVs and a bunch of games going on. And the NFL is like, we're going to force them into their dream, and that's what they're trying to do. And they have a contract with Vizio or something, and they want us to go buy more
TCL.
TVs.
Look at the Justin Herbert commercials. I think you're right.
I'm out.
Because I have when I've been talking to my wife about how like when we have the man cave, I have to have multiple TVs because I gotta be able to do stuff like this, which sucks because I'd rather just watch it on one TV and be done with it. But that's where we're at, and it sucks. So I'm gonna take the Bills. We also have the Bears and Commanders. Who wins this game? Commanders, and
Bears. Commanders.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Commanders.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the Commanders. Debo's
It'd be
looking
fun
really
if
great.
well, we're a Bears podcast. We forgot. We forgot we're a Bears
shit!
podcast.
Yeah,
It's
no,
the
go
Bears.
Bears down, Bear
Bears.
down. Yeah, the Bears. Thank you, Scotty, for reminding
Thanks.
us. It's been a
Thanks,
while
man.
since we've talked about that. We are a Bears podcast this year, so the Bears are. It's going to be a surprising upset. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be 21-17 Bears.
Caleb Williams is going to look like the greatest quarterback in the history of football.
He's going to look like Jackson Dart on Thursday night.
He's going to throw behind the back pass, under the leg
Yeah.
pass.
Would you
He's
rather?
gonna be
Okay,
sexy.
let's. Would you rather have Caleb Williams or Jackson Dart?
Jackson Dart. But because I'm a Bears
Caleb
fan,
Williams, Bears.
Caleb Williams.
Okay. Are you saying Caleb Williams is a Bears fan, or like that's your real pick?
I want.
The real me takes the one who doesn't paint his nails. The Bears fan in me says I love painted nails, and I want Caleb
Rex
Williams.
Grossman. That's who I want. Go Bears.
Shit.
Go Bears.
Tugbuck. All right, gentlemen, we're going to get the heck out of here. Appreciate all you guys that have joined us and stayed with us throughout the entire episode. It has been a blast to do this, and we love all the comments and interacting with you guys. So continue to do that. Uncle Owens, Battlefield 6, and NFL. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing is Battlefield
Yeah, I'm
6. I
gonna
think
play
we
Battlefield.
all are going to be playing
Which one is
Battlefield
6?
6. So find us out in the battlefield, my friend. Appreciate you joining us. We do this every Monday, so we're excited to continue this train rolling throughout the NFL season. And if you miss it by chance, we are all on all podcast platforms, so go check us out. Hit the subscribe button. Give us the 5-star reviews. We really appreciate all that stuff. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always. We will do this again next Monday. I love you guys. We
I love you.
are.
Out.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out LeatherBrainz.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.